No loot, no loot, no loot, no loot, no loot, no loot, no loot.
No Loot Sundays.
Yeah, welcome to No Loot Sundays, professional to the core, in the sense that I totally forgot to unmute the desktop whenever it was playing the beginning of the intro song. Really good start to the show tonight, guys, and that's really going to set the tone for tonight, because tonight is going to be a very, very relaxed night. It's colder outside. It's just after Thanksgiving. We're all loaded up with the turkey and gravy and all that stuff if you're in America, and if you're not, well, you know, too bad, so sad you don't get to gorge yourself on Thanksgiving meals. But
And they wonder why Americans are fat.
yeah, exactly. I am Breol, the man, the sexy voice that you hear returning to your ears with higher quality than before is our boy Faye.
Evening, everyone. I am actually on my desktop. The mitigation of the water damage is finished.
It's so
Construction may be going on next week, so who knows what happens. But
it'll be something to find out. God, it's so good. Oh, I could just take a bath in your voice. All right. So we got a little bit of WoW news going on this week. We're looking at, oh good, I'm getting some desktop noises. This is nice. A little bit of WoW news going on this week. I've been going through some footage since BlizzCon of all of the demos and playthroughs just to find any little nitpicky thing I can. And it actually ended up, I was watching one of Method's videos, Sko, who's Protection Warrior. Well, he's not a Protection Warrior anymore, but he's one of their tanks, I believe. And he was doing a playthrough of a High Mountain Tauren where he showed off the racial ability, which is called Bullheaded Charge, I think. Something like that. What this ability is, I don't know the cooldown on it, but I know it's probably going to be similar to War Stomp. Fuck you, Faye. But it's
I just found it.
basically steal my thunder. Basically, what it is it's like Dragon Charge. Honestly, you just charge forward about 5 to 10 feet or yards, since that's what Blizzard generally uses, and you knock back anybody you hit. And so that's what we can expect out of High Mountain Tauren's racial. I didn't find the Lightforge Draenei yet. Have you found those?
Yeah. There are a few racials that have been shown. High Mountain, we have Rugged Tenacity, reduces damage taken by 330. I don't know if that's going to make it live, but that's one of their racials. Pride of the Ironhorn, mining skill increased, and allows you to mine faster. Mountaineer increases your versatility by 1%. Typical little stat boost. The Bull Rush, which is a 2-minute cooldown. And then Waste Not, Want Not. You have an additional chance to loot meat or fish. Or when you're looting meat or fish, you have an additional chance to get more of it. And they can be... Current confirmed classes are Druid, Hunter, Monk, Shaman, Warrior for High Mountain Tauren. That seems a little low, so I wonder if they'll add more. But as far as... We don't really know anything other than classes for Nightborn or Zandalari. And even Zandalari, we only know that Druid is confirmed. And Shaman, I believe, as well. But for the Void Elves, there's hints that one of the racials will be a blink of some sort.
Yes.
Probably not as long as the regular blink. And then Lightforge Draenei, they're getting Light's Judgment, call down a strike of holy energy, dealing holy damage to enemies at 5 yards for after 3 seconds. A 2.5-minute cooldown on that. Forge of Light, summon a Forge of Light, enabling blacksmithing skill increased by 10. Demon Bane increases experience gains from killing beasts, which is weird.
That is
you would
weird.
think it'd be killing demons, but
I don't see that making it live.
Yeah, Holy Resistance, similar to the current Draenei, where they get the Shadow Resistance.
Yeah.
No, they get 1%. I can't remember. Anyway, holy damage reduced by 1%, and then Final Verdict. When you die, Light avenges you, dealing 100 or 1,000 and holy damage to enemies within 8 yards, and healing allies for 1,300. So it's a suicide class.
Yeah, great.
And then the only they've got Hunter, Mage, Paladin, Priest, Warrior as confirmed classes. Dark Iron Dwarfs are confirmed to have Paladin as one of the classes.
Is that right?
So, yep.
Cool. I could honestly see I mean, the ones that are safe bets because everybody is already able to play these classes is every race will probably be able to be a hunter, and every race will probably be able to be a warrior. Would be my
Yeah.
guess. And then on top
I
of
wouldn't be
that,
surprised if Monk makes it to a lot of them as well, just
Void Elves I
because
could definitely see being monks. Absolutely.
that is one of the ones that they state is a class option for Void Elves and Nightborn.
Yeah. Cool. Nightborn racials. I hope that they implement similar racials to what we've seen in the game, like stealth detection. That we see, the who goes there, which would be great if you say that, kind of like say one of those lines, or something seems off, or whatever the hell that they say down in Suramar. It'd be great if you just
It would
automatically
just be
said
too
that
much,
line.
though.
Oh, it'd
Well,
be
if
so
they do
good.
that, the Void Elves need to use the lines that the ones on Antor or Argus say. Dissimulation.
Yes. Oh, it'd be good.
But other news was there were some tier changes. Most of them were just percentage based. And there are a few. I know that Monk they swapped some positioning of talents, but everything else is just fairly minor or fixing tooltips, as far as I know. The big change was this week was if you're a Shadow Priest, you get some front load your damage a bit more for like Mythic Plus and Trash, just because before you really couldn't do anything until you hit like 20 or 30 seconds into a fight because your damage just takes a while to tick. One last piece of news: the ceiling on Mythic Keystones rewards will go up to 15 the week of December 5th, which is when Mythic Difficulty of Antorus opens. So you will need to, I believe, have a 15 done to get your maximum reward before that week.
So what was the date for that again?
December 5th, which is when Mythic opens for Antorus. So that's when rather than the usual where they retune everything and 10 is the thing, this is where it goes up. You have to get a 15. Similar
so that's
to
next week.
Is that next week?
Yeah.
Or is that? Yeah. I forgot Sunday is the beginning of the week for us. Yeah. So the second week of Antorus being open, since Antorus opens this week.
Okay. So that's good to know because honestly I am behind as hell on my keystones on both Braille and my Hunter. So hopefully we'll be able to get caught up there. But yeah, as far as anything else with the news goes, I thought I had something, but I don't believe it's true. So I'm not going to say it because I don't want to be putting out lies there. So I think that's going to do it unless you got anything else, Faye. I think that's really it for WoW news going on. It's a pretty quiet week for the holidays, it seems like, and we haven't had a Q&A since the 16th. So I don't know when the next Q&A is, but I'm sure we're going to be getting one soon. Have you been doing anything cool in WoW recently at all, Faye?
Just
waiting for
not
Antorus?
much. Kind of just waiting for Antorus. I meant to go in and do one more heroic run since we took a week off for the guild, but I ended up not.
I never did it.
I might try and just get a couple bosses that I really want done later tonight or tomorrow, but it's just such a huge amount of work to either. Because honestly, if you want to make a group, it's best to make it yourself, but it's just a pain.
Yeah.
So no, the only other thing I did was I kind of played around with Shadow Priest a bit to kind of get used to it in case, and I kind of played around with the talents because it looks like all of my talent decisions on my monk are going to be different from Windwalker, and then I also decided to get used to Shadow Priest a little bit in case monk just ends up being completely trash, which based on history, it's not going to be trash. Windwalker tends to do very well on long duration fights, so during progression they're great, but as bosses start dying quicker, it's a bit harder to max your numbers.
Yeah.
But then again, Shadow Priest also does really well on long duration fights.
Yeah.
And then even on short duration fights, you can just take Surrender to Madness and have fun.
Shadow Priest has been... I've been playing leveling one from 100 to 110 recently, and it's weird. There's a lot of it that I have trouble figuring out. Like, most of it is because I haven't read the abilities, because I'm very lazy when it comes to starting new. Like, I generally don't care about a character until I get to level 110. And then I'm like, okay, what's the good rotation? What's the good spec? What's, what can I do to actually be a competitive player as this character? But for the most part, with Shadow Priest, like, it's pretty weird, because it's like, I don't know when this thing procs, but it procs and I use it, and then I don't know how to make it proc again. But
there's some very odd things about early. I can't remember when you get some key abilities, because I was leveling up my Shadow Priest during this expansion. And man, it does not feel complete until you reach a certain point and get enough of your abilities. That is very true. And then you got other stuff. I'm trying to think what procs you're talking about, because the only really true button lighting up would be your Void Eruption when you hit 100 insanity.
Oh, is that what it is?
You just have to get your insanity all the way up, which is casting, keeping your dots up, casting Mind Blast and Mind Flay.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know dick about this class, so it's
see,
it's
that's
fun.
Shadow Priest is one of those classes that it doesn't really change much. It's got a very, I'd say, it's got an interesting low skill floor, but it's got a pretty high ceiling, I'd say, because the number of people who are able to maintain Void form for, God, like, the average is supposed to be like 60-second Void forms, but then like you got some people who can maintain it for way longer. Anyway, what about you? Did you do anything fun and wild this week?
Actually, just before, so check this out. I've been working on getting my Alliance characters up, because it's like, generally when I'm playing through an expansion, I focus on one faction and I work on that faction, and then at one point, when things start to die down, which Legion is kind of dying down, and then Antorus is going to be like its last breath of air before it just comes into a total lockdown of no content for a while, which is exactly what I've been expecting. I'm totally fine with it. We've gotten a ton of content this expansion. This is a good expansion to me, so I'm not upset at all. But you also do got to figure out, how do you want to fill in that time? How do you want to fill in those gaps? So with me, it's, I switch factions and I check it out for a while most of the time. And I came over to Horde during Warlords of Draenor, but obviously, as you know, Faye, I have generally important things to take care of on the Horde side on our server, so I'm just like, doing it more casually. Well, anyways, this week, a lot of that rambling was for no reason, so filling time, I guess. But this week, I went ahead and started working on my Alliance character, and I got my Hunter up to 110. And then just before the show started, I got my Warlock up to 110. So that's pretty cool. Joined a guild on him. We ran Mythic Blackrock Foundry, and then I had to go for the night. But it was a good time. Seems like they're nice people. So I think some of them are hanging out in the watching the show right now. So holler to you boys and girls. Very nice of you to attend. But yeah. That's really what I've been doing. Outside of that, I'm trying to get legendaries on my Demon Hunter, trying to get survival legendaries before Antorus drops on my Hunter, and hope for the best.
Definitely. Oh yeah, I'm so kind of torn with that, because as we've explained earlier, I started this expansion Horde on my monk, tanked for Bray and I's guild for a while. Bray disappeared for a bit. I ended up playing a shaman on Alliance, and
nobody knows where he went. Nobody knew where he went.
He just disappeared off the face of the earth. He may have even died.
Yeah, it could have. It's very possible.
But I played Alliance
still
Shaman.
Don't know where he is this day. Sorry, go ahead.
So I played Ellie Shaman and actually Restoration, because the guild that I was playing with some real world friends needed a healer, and eventually it kind of fell through. But all this to say, I'm doing your rambling job now.
Go for it.
I'll
take a break. Whatever.
I'm so just conflicted with how the expansion is shaping up for BFA, and based on what they've shown, it's very much feels like I need to choose a faction and stick with it, even though like there's nothing preventing me. but it's like it's about getting back to your faction identity, and I feel like I'd be betraying either the Horde or the Alliance if I didn't if I was trying to do the double classing thing.
God, I know, man. No, I feel that, and honestly, like, props to Blizzard for 13 years later making me feel this way, because like I have my thing is like I've always been an Alliance baby. Like, I started on the Alliance. I've loved Dwarves. I love the Alliance, and I think the Alliance is awesome. I came to the Horde to try something new, and that exploded on me and became a responsibility, and it became like, it's really fun, and I'm playing with a lot of my friends, and like, it's a great time and everything. But it's like, with this expansion coming up that's like choose a side, it's like, okay, so I get to either betray my fucking heritage as I feel or betray my friends. Like, this sucks. It's
I didn't know
choice.
I started with someone who started Alliance. I don't know how I feel about this now.
Okay, all right, buddy. Well,
I mean, I started on Horde.
tune in next week for a new co-host.
We're kicking Bray out. Sorry, guys.
Oh, okay. Oh, you motherfucker. All right, I'll take this whole program down with me. It's scripted. None of it's real. No, fuck off, eh? No, but yeah. So I definitely share that sentiment of, who's it going to be, the Alliance or the Horde, and I think I think I'm gonna do both. Yeah, I think that's how, because I want to see both sides. I like pirate themes and I like the troll theme they're establishing so far, and I want to see both sides. So
I may actually end up doing it and get over my conflict, especially when the drought hits.
yes, absolutely, and maybe I'll even save it for the drought.
Yeah, the main thing for me is, I don't know, my experience on Alliance has never been great. Too many, I don't know. Every guild I was in on there was casual and didn't do anything, and it was hard for me to find a guild that actually wanted to raid on a consistent schedule.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's something that I was kind of missing in Warlords of Draenor. Well, actually, from like Wrath of the Lich King to Warlords of Draenor, that's something I was kind of missing, was having a regular raid schedule. Which, to be fair, a lot of that was my fault because it was the time of my life where I need to focus on things in real life and can't set a schedule for raiding. But now that it's like, you're a grown ass man, you can make your own rules in a way. Like, now I want to be able to raid every week, and I was able to set that up on the Horde. So it's I forgot what I was saying. Rating. I like doing it. It's a great show.
Good save.
Yeah, thanks, mate. No, but it's gonna be interesting. And one of the things I'm definitely looking forward to is, and this is a feeling I've missed for a long time, and really even in Legion I didn't have it because that was before we rebuilt the guild on Wyrmrest. I like the idea of the expansion launch with all your friends online and everybody's experiencing the new stuff together, and it's like, it's really exciting, and like, you can talk about it with your friends. Like with Legion, it was like, okay, now we have to rebuild the guild, there's like 4 of us left, and we're trying to make do, and it's like, yeah, those are my friends too, and I had a great time playing with them. But like, I'm expecting, we've got our raid team, who's all a bunch of people that we get along with. They're our friends. It's a very close-knit group of, at most we're looking at about 25 people that we play with, I would say. And that's going to be fun to see us all online, like checking out the new content, reacting in guild chat, and maybe even in the community once that's set up. And maybe, if things go well enough, we'll have ourselves a No Loot Sundays community that will be able to see reactions from not only me and maybe Faye, but along with the people who like our show. That'd be a lot of fun. There's a lot to look forward to in the next expansion, but to me, like, the first few days they're always so good. It's like a second Christmas that year. It's really good.
No, I remember. Not Warlords. Wrath was probably the one I remember the most, where I was, because it was one of the few times I was in a active guild on launch.
Right.
And man, just everyone reacting. We had one guy who was trying to compete for World First to a point where when his computer overheated, he went to work and brought his laptop into the walk-in freezer to keep it
Oh my
cool.
God.
He did not win the world race to max level, but it was still fun. Man, that brings back good memories.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I think it's. I think that Cataclysm is probably the expansion launch that I have the best memories of. Because Burning Crusade, I made a horrible mistake. This was, keep in mind, everybody, this was before you could download the expansion from Blizzard directly. This was when you had to get a physical copy of it and use that physical copy to put the game on your computer. So with Burning Crusade, I had pre-ordered it from Amazon. I did not expect for it to take over 3 weeks after the fact of the expansion for it to arrive. And that was a horrible 3 weeks. Everybody passes you up. Everybody's playing the new expansion. And I'm sitting here like, come on! But with Cataclysm was really cool because it was, no, it wasn't the first time. It was the second time I did a midnight pickup or whatever. The release party that they do at GameStop or whatever. They were doing a huge Cataclysm release party, and me and a bunch of my real life friends were playing at the time, and we go up to GameStop, and we're sitting outside at night waiting for them to open up and let us buy the game from them, and we had, of course, pre-ordered it. And so we go in there, and the dude, there's 5 of us, and we all get our copies, and the dude's like, "Oh, you guys big World of Warcraft fans, huh?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's a great game." And he's like, "Do you guys want the display?" And it's like a huge Neltharion cardboard display. And I'm just like, "Yes!" And we took it and we put it in the car in the back seat with us. And as we're on our way over to my friend's house, because we were gonna have a LAN party that night, as we're on our way over there, we get pulled over by the cops. And we get pulled over by the cops. No,
you got,
surprising. It wasn't just some
Tractors.
rando. It was a cop. Yeah, no, but we got pulled over by the cop, and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" We're just like, "We're about to go have a LAN party. We just picked up World of Warcraft." He's like, "Yeah, I heard about that. They got a new game out today." It's like, "Yeah, we're big fans of it." And the cop just like, he leans in real close and he looks in our back seat and he looks at me and he looks in our back seat and he goes, "Horde or Alliance?" And I'm just like, "Alliance?" And he's like, "Good." And the guy, one of our friends in the back goes, "I'm on the Horde." He's like, "You're under arrest." It's just like, it was good. It was good that he played off it, but he's just like, "Yeah, we saw some suspicious activity. We just wanted to make sure that you guys weren't causing any trouble, but you're obviously going to lose your life to this game, so I'll let you go." Like, it was great. But
okay, so
was one of the best memories.
You told your fun launch story.
Yeah.
So mine was Wrath was actually interesting because I was online at the time with all my guildies, and I had not pre-ordered it at all yet. So I ended up going and searching online for any website. I found a Canadian website that would call me and give me my CD key as soon as I bought it.
That seems above the table. No problem.
So I ended up buying it online. I could have gotten my identity stolen, lost my credit card number, any number of things. So I buy it online. They send me the key. Now I buy it at 10 p.m. Eastern time. The game is technically not supposed to open up till midnight.
Yeah.
But I was able to get in the game and play a Death Knight before launch official time.
Oh, that is sick.
And the only problem was the character I made when launch official time came disappeared.
Oh my god, that sucks.
Well, not really disappeared, but wasn't worth playing because they ended up getting teleported way out of the starting zone for Death Knight, and I couldn't get back to the Death Knight starting zone, and I couldn't complete the quest, and I wasn't technically part of a faction, so you're just screwed.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, I guess I'll play my actual main, which was a mage at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was huge whenever Death Knights came out. That was really huge. And honestly,
so many of them you saw it. Like, that was like the big question for Wrath was, are you going to
play a Death Knight?
And which means you're going to start over at the beginning, or are you going to just do your current main, and then switch over to Death Knight after you get it to the end? I knew a lot of people who started at Death Knight and just went all the way through. Man, Blasted Lands was not Blasted Lands. Hellfire Peninsula was not a fun place to be because I was on a PvP
nightmare.
server, man.
Same. was a nightmare.
The people who got the head start were there, or hell, people who are still at what was it, 80? I think at the time, no, 70. So people at 70 were sitting there camping, all the level 60s rolling through.
Oh man, that was a really exciting time whenever those were coming out. But I still think that the Death Knights being announced and released and everything was probably as exciting, or it was as exciting when the Demon Hunters were announced and released. Because I don't know, whenever they were like playable Demon Hunters, I was like, this is so cool, we're getting another hero class. Like, I was really excited about it, and I thought it was cool. And I'm really excited to see what the next hero class could end up being, because a lot of people were thinking it would be some kind of Void Hunter or Void, like something what is essentially going to be compressed into what a Void Elf is. So to me, it's like, okay, what would the next hero class even be, you know? And so that to me is going to make it really, really exciting when they actually announce the next hero class. But that's going to be a long ways away, because, I mean, when you look at the time between launch Wrath of the Lich King, and Legion, you know, hero classes they don't come around very often. So, but
yeah, no, it's definitely a rare thing. It's fun when they show up, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would not.
They're a nice treat to an expansion, that's for sure. I know.
Yeah, that which is funny, because I love Demon Hunter at the beginning of Legion, but when they got
Momentum was really fun.
Build,
yeah.
Once Momentum build was gone, I kind of stopped having as much fun.
They need
it was still fun, but in a different way. It was more about I played it in PvP, and that's where it became fun, because it was about the proper positioning and all that. It was, and knowing when to escape and all that fun stuff, but not so much in PvE.
They need to make Momentum the way it. They need to make Momentum correct. They need to correct it back to the way it is. Yes, and because that will make that gameplay style work, but it will also be a very unique way to play to DPS. And they also need to bring back fist weaving, because that was a very unique way to play. And I think that's something Blizzard shouldn't be afraid of. But unfortunately, seeing a lot of the things they've been doing to where they're kind of unifying roles and making classes very similar, like with tanks in the next expansion, they're looking at making their mitigation styles and everything very similar. I think they're going in the wrong direction. They need, class identity is important, but it's also like you need to have separate styles of play. Like, a warlock and a mage feel different from each other because of like affliction warlocks, and from last I checked anyways, affliction warlocks and frost mages feel very different from each other, and that's good. But when you play a death knight and an arms warrior, it doesn't feel that different to me. And that may just be a personal thing a personal grievance maybe that I have, but like it needs to have more like separation of style between itself and other classes, at least.
And I don't know. See, it's weird for me, because I've kind of looked a little bit into the tanking stuff, especially after we talked a bit about it last week, and it doesn't seem like they're really trying to unify them so much as they're trying to change overall the type of damage intake. Because the biggest problem was you had both physical damage going out and magic damage going out, and if one was focused on just physical the whole thing, then you're kind of just screwed. I don't know. It was I've played almost all the healer classes at one point or another in this expansion. As far 3 in heroic rating, they still all feel different, even. Although fist weaving is gone, I will say that when I was running my monk as a mist weaver in raids, I was able to pull decent numbers just because I was constantly using my abilities. And there's a bit of fun that can be had. It's just not competitive on anything except for like the I'm losing my train of thought. The base tier. In heroic is about the highest you can do with it.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird things. The only really weird and different healing spec we've got right now is discipline, and it's definitely fun. But I think if you brought fist weaving back, it'd be that role of, okay, we're running 239, but we're having some trouble with this boss. One of the guys needs to switch over to either fist weaver or discipline. It's to get that extra damage out and still provide healing.
Still have healing, yeah. And that's one thing that I think about, especially that we ran into in Tomb of Sargeras, was there was a lot of times where you were a very effective discipline priest because we couldn't afford to lose some healing. We still needed what amount a discipline priest, or you specifically on discipline priest, can provide alongside some DPS. But like, if we had too much DPS, we wouldn't have enough healing, or if we had you go on your monk anyways, we wouldn't have enough healing. And if we had you go holy on your priest, and we wouldn't have enough DPS. And so like, it's amazing how many times in Tomb we ran into that kind of a problem. And I'm wondering if we'll end up running into that again in Antorus. And frankly, if that is a problem that you run into regularly, like, I want Blizzard to implement classes, or at least make it possible for classes to be able to do stuff like fist weaving and discipline priests, and make it so that you can have that DPS healing hybrid true spec. And so I really, part of me hopes that becomes more of a thing, because that adds more dynamics and options to what style you're playing. But on the same effort, I am a huge proponent for DPS tanks as well. And
I would love like a rogue tank or something.
Yeah, and even our boy YM in chat, he says mage tanks, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, there should.
Oh yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
So like how they were doing a lot of redesigns with Legion. One thing that always felt strange to me, and this is a lot of people would hate me for saying this, but I thought the fact that Mage's AoE, or Arcane Mage's AoE spell is a melee range spell made me think, oh sweet, they're gonna make a melee hunter. Maybe they'll make a melee mage.
Ooh,
that would be really kind of cool.
Yeah,
like and make it be so I would love to see
true battle mage,
melee like a battle mage tank spec. And you could do a lot of stuff, like their mitigation thematically could be something back with the altered time spell from Kata, where you could like give a point of, oh, here's damages coming in, freeze my health point here, and then after the damage you get rid of it. That, oh man, like when I first saw that spell, I was like, oh, you can do so much fun stuff with this.
Yeah, I think honestly Blizzard should explore the option of making it possible for more people to tank in their own way, and also I kind of see a position of, so we've seen this in Tomb, and we're going to see it again in Antorus, where there are third tank viable rage strats, right? Kill Jaden, heroic Kill Jaden, for people who didn't have gear that completely outgeared it, and more specifically for people who didn't have Guardian Druids in their raid group. It was beneficial for them to use 3 tanks as your strategy on Kill Jaden. Now, to me, I think that would be something you could implement more, and it would be more fun if you had a wider variety of tanks that could switch on a dime to becoming a tank, in a way. And so what this would mean is maybe it's a cooldown, or maybe it's just an ability, like, for example, with Gladiator Stance for Warriors, where they could switch to DPS. That would be really cool, because, and that's kind of why I miss Gladiator Stance at Sword and Board DPS, is because it gives you the option to switch to tank or to take over tank, but you can still play as protection and do DPS, and but you don't have to worry about generating too much threat, which is my biggest issue on my warrior when I go to do DPS tanking, is that I generate way too much threat, so I really would love to see Blizzard kind of play with that to make it so that tanks could DPS more and DPS could tank more, and just make it so that there are more options, really, than anything.
Yeah, it's having on the fly switching back, which I don't know I don't expect it to ever come back, but that's where it starts looking interesting. Is we can run a warrior in Gladiator Stance and then if the tank dies, he can switch to protection stance. I actually love gladiator stance as well. I thought it was a really interesting
I
idea.
miss it so bad. I really enjoyed it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it in Mists of Pandaria? There was a talent you could take that there wasn't a gladiator stance yet, but there's a talent that made you do ridiculous amounts of damage as warrior in Mist as a protection warrior, and that's what I played.
Yeah, there was, and it was because you could generate. This was before Ignore Pain, so you were able to generate a shitload of rage and dump it into DPS without losing mitigation. It was great.
And at that point, I think that was when they decided to move to the gladiator stance with the next expansion, because they're like, this is ridiculous having people having tanks out damage other classes.
Yeah, it's man, fuck. That's a thing I ran into in Warlords of Draenor too. Is like on my warrior, and this is kind of the fucked thing to me is because everybody generally does LFR because they are able to find some type of reward, be it transmog or whatever, out of it. So they end up running it at one point or another. So generally, if you do a baseline judge of DPS and LFR, you can see, are you better than the average player is what you can get at an LFR. And to me, it was crazy to see that like I had a low item level on my warrior when I first started on Wyrmrest Accord, but I was at the top of the damage meter. And that tells me how strong warriors were at the end of Warlords of Draenor, at least for DPS. As far as being a tank goes, I couldn't tell you because I didn't do raid tanking in Warlords. But it's still like I miss prot warrior being viable for a strong amount of DPS without stealing threat more than anything. Like, I want to be able to DPS as prot and then switch to tank should our tank die or whatever. Granted, I can also see where that is like giving you way too many failsafes in a raid. Where like think about like if Method had that kind of privilege, right? They wouldn't have any trouble on any raid bosses because they just have 3 or 4 classes that could easily switch to tank and finish out the fight.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're about to take a big hit. Well, now we just mitigated most of that damage because everybody switched to their tank side. So I could see where that's a terribly flawed thing, but I also feel like there's a way it could work. There's a way. Obviously you wouldn't ever have one of these protection or one of these takeable specs being at the top of the damage meter. But I don't know.
I mean, one interesting idea would be give him a talent. Give Furion Arms a talent similar to Surrender to Madness, where you can be a tank for X amount of time, and after that you die. And you can't be battle res for, because Surrender to Madness has a hidden cooldown where you cannot be battle res for 3 minutes, I think.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I don't know when that went in, but it went in after EN. I know for sometime after EN because it was broken in the end, but. Yeah, no, it'll be an interesting. There are ways to get around it, and something like that where it's a cooldown that means you really would be one of those last ditch buttons. Yeah. Maybe just to give enough time for a battle res to go out on the actual tank. I don't know. There's some cool things you can toss around. Definitely, this game has so many ways to generate ideas. We've been playing it for. God, ages. 13 years, ages, at least.
There's a lot of different ways that they could, in my opinion, improve not just class balancing, but just the way classes play to make them feel different from each other. And I hope that down the line that's something Blizzard decides to pursue, rather than.
I will say that there is I've always do this when I start getting tired of an expansion or tired of a main. Yeah. I will make all the classes and get them all to max level. So and now that at this point I've got every class to max level and I've done LFR and enough of it, Argus to get them all geared to at least 880, some to 9, most to 910 or higher. I can say that this expansion has the most variation between playstyles on each class and even spec wise.
I believe it.
I will say that that doesn't mean it's perfect, and there are definitely some things that play very similarly. But they've done a good job at least bringing back some stuff. The ones that I feel are a bit weak to what they were supposed to do is you've got your Demonology Warlocks, which I found the idea interesting, but it just did not pan out. It feels like, really, it just feels like Affliction, but instead of dots, you've got pets.
I don't like. I don't. My thing is like when they did the whole rework of all the specs, it shook everything up like on the damage meters and whatnot. But what's really frustrating is how weak some of the funner specs are, or some of the harder to play specs are. Right? Like Feral Druid, at least before, I'm not sure how it's playing right now. I know you know, but Feral Druid, Survival Hunter, those two would probably be considered harder than Fury Warrior, or harder than, oh, for Christ's sakes, Demon Hunter right now. Jesus Christ, Demon Hunter is just it's such an easy meta right now. But like, to me, you get way more DPS output from Demon Hunter than you do from a Survival Hunter, and Survival Hunters are mashing their keys off trying to keep up on DPS, and I wish that wasn't a problem. I wish that you got rewarded for playing a more intensive spec. You know,
I think the bigger problem there is I don't think they're that far off. I think the problem is the amount of work required, to where you can have a mediocre Demon Hunter and a mediocre Survival, and the mediocre Demon Hunter is going to beat him out because it's got a simpler rotation.
Yeah.
But if you have a good Survival Hunter, I think he's still going to tie the mediocre Demon Hunter, because it's very hard to screw up Demon Hunter's rotation.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not it's not so much that Demon Hunter is deserves to do less damage. It's just like it's very hard to show yourself as the best Demon Hunter on your server, because there's not much you can do to edge yourself out and make yourself special.
Right.
Whereas a Survival Hunter, you can definitely be that way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like one of the things that really kind of frustrates me is with, like, for example, with Demon Hunters, they can make up lost DPS because you only generate so much fury or whatever it's called, or hate or pain or whatever, and you only generate so much in a fight, and in a certain portion of a fight, more specifically. So let's say you didn't hit your Chaos Blades. You didn't hit your Chaos Blades at the right time. Well, if you hit it 3 seconds later, you're not really losing out on DPS. It's just placing it differently. As long as you end with, not with having it essentially on cooldown at the end of the fight, then you've generally gotten all the Chaos Blades you can get out of that fight. As long as you never let your bar get full and all that shit. So to me, but whereas Survival Hunter, if you miss letting Mok'Nathul stay on your, or if you miss your Mok'Nathul or don't get it back applied in time, then you have fucking right about 10 seconds to 12 seconds where you are not dealing as at your peak. You're not damaging at your peak, or at your baseline, actually. So it's very frustrating because you get punished so badly for mistakes as a survival. I'm just bitching about Survival Hunters now, but you get punished for your mistakes as Survival Hunters really harshly, whereas when you're looking at other classes, it's like, oh yeah, I missed that ability, but I can cast it and I'll still be beating your ass on damage meters. It's like, I'm working my dick off over here. But that's such as the game, right?
Now, what's funny is, as you're telling all this, I just remembered we have two experiences with two people playing two of the easiest classes in the game.
True, that's true.
And they both were the worst damage dealers I've ever interacted.
Oh my god!
And it's not without us trying.
That's true. We did offer help. We offered a lot of help.
But man, so there are different that and I think that's, for me, the reason I play the difficult specs or the off the beaten path specs is I like the what do you call it? Just the satisfaction it comes from performing the rotation correctly.
Yeah, when I hit my 1.3 million on survival on a boss fight, I'm just like, yes, I fucking killed it that fight, like, because that's just under as much damage as I can do, or as much damage as I
current gear gear can do.
Right, and I feel so good about it because it's like I killed that fight, like I did so good. And it's like I don't get that feeling when I'm playing Beast Mastery at all. When I'm playing Beast Mastery, it's like, oh, 1.4 million. Okay, like yeah, that's to be expected. I'm a fucking hunter, but yeah, it doesn't have that rewarding feeling to it for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of hard to. It's hard to balance that because yeah, I would love for the harder specs to reward it, and really I'd say the only one that actually does play that way. You would be the Surrender to Madness Shadow Priest,
Yeah.
the ones that can maintain Surrender to Madness for the maximum, which is theoretically 124 seconds. So if you can do that, that's 2 minutes worth of
A lot
yeah,
of damage.
like if you and since most fights, even like during progression, you're talking like an 8 minute fight. 2 minutes in your maximum damage phase is insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's the only one that really feel, and that's why that talent really should be praised as one of the best things. I think one of the most interesting and well designed talents Blizzard has come up with. Although it was extremely overpowered during EN, but that was because mechanics allowed you to cheese it.
Yeah, I agree because it's like adding mechanics into your playstyle, which kind of makes it more engaging to me.
Oh yeah, no, like to me, that's why I like the Windwalker Monk
Right.
style of
Hit
the combo.
combo.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I do wish that they had stayed with the early idea of having actually like interaction. Like, so Brewmaster has a talent that whenever you use Blackout Kick, it empowers your next ability if you take this talent. I wanted stuff like that for Windwalker for the combos. Like, oh,
Yeah,
you
that'd be
use
fun.
Tiger Palm and then you have actual combos. But considering how much trouble they seem to have balancing tier sets and talent bonuses for monks, I just leave me alone and let
Let me enjoy this while I have it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, there's like that. To me, there's the fun mini games that a lot of specs have. You've got fire mages whose goal is to kind of keep those crit chains rolling as much as possible and maximize their damage during their combustion windows. Is fun. I liked this has kind of gone away, but the idea of trying to empower your glacial spikes to have maximum damage by hitting really hard hitting frost bolts. So there's been some fun little ways to optimize your class play this expansion, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I really like it's difficult and there is an added difficulty to it, you know, between hit combo, Mok'Nathul, the Shadow Priest one that I've already forgotten the name of.
Surrender to Madness.
Yeah, that. Like, there's an added something to that play style, and I like that. It's not just use your cooldown, deal as much damage as you can while your cooldown's up. It is, you can maintain this. You know, you can maintain the way of Mok'Nathul. You can maintain hit combo. You can maintain Surrender to Madness for an extended amount of time, you know. And I think that is how you get engaging gameplay to me.
There's even a legendary that I run on my Windwalker, at least until Antorus comes out, which every ability I use extends my big cooldown,
Right.
Which is the Serenity or Storm, Earth, and Fire. Man, that's a fun game in itself of what do I need to set up beforehand to make sure I can maximize this. Unfortunately, with like the Serenity playstyle, it's just a spam. Just never hit the same button twice and spam. But there is definitely going to be some. If I run it before I get tier set in Antorus, it'll be fun to see what I get around with because I'm probably going to switch talents. Like I said earlier, I played around with the talents that I'll be using in Antorus, and I may actually start using them early just to get used to because it's changing how the entire spec flows. And I know, like for you, you've been doing that with your hunter and getting ready for survival for the past few months.
He's ready. I'm so hyped. I mean, once I get the right legendary, I'll be doing way more damage. But like, as far as like if he's beating Beast Mastery out regularly, yeah, he beats Beast Mastery out regularly. So I'm hyped.
Yeah,
Finally
I'm
get
stuck in
some-
this weird spot for my like I want to. Shadow Priest was always an interesting idea for me,
Yeah.
but I've learned like I don't have the base haste necessary to play Shadow yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't
It's like
have the
this
haste
sucks
for
having the
survival.
base stats you need, and like
Oh,
that's
no.
why you were running Beast Mastery and Marksman for a while, just so you could get the gear and the stat priorities that you needed
Right.
in order to
Yeah, that was the big thing I was missing was getting haste high enough. And now I'm at the point where like my haste is high enough. It's like, okay, now you need versatility. And it's like, all right, good. Then I'm in a good spot because like I'll always need versatility. It's your second. So your second is something you generally always want to take unless your primary is available. So it's I'm pretty happy about it. I'm happy about where I'm at stat wise and where how I'll be able to compete on damage meters now. So I know I'm not going to be able to beat you, Faye, but that's mostly because you're playing a stronger class than I am right now.
Not according to the meters, but
All right, we'll find out. Maybe I suck. Who knows? Also, I don't have enough the right
well,
legendaries.
actually,
So
with
you know
with
what?
Antaurus, where it's going to be a completely different game as well.
Yeah. One thing I actually wanted to do tonight was I want to engage in a little wager with you if you're up for it. How about 25,000 gold? You got that on a character at all?
Yeah.
All right, 25,000 gold. What boss? Not what boss. How many bosses do you think we kill this week for the first week of Antaurus? And let's see, how many do you think we kill? And that's for the entire week. And what difficulty are we on by the end of the week? Place your bet.
Ooh. I'm going to let you go first since you came
You're
up with the
a
bet, and I think you got some insider information. I feel
I don't even remember how many bosses are in Antaurus. Is it like 15? Something like
it's
that?
the same as it's the
It's
same
11,
as
right? Nighthold.
yeah, Nighthold.
All right. Let's see.
That one that we spent a lot of time in that we kind of try and forget.
Yeah, Nighthold doesn't exist. I got ahead of the curve. Fuck you all.
Yeah,
Man,
that was fun.
I was hoping you were going to answer first. Shit.
So you had some time to think.
No, so that I could bet one over you. No. Let's see. I'm gonna say we're on the back half at least by the end of this week. Like I don't expect normal to take us nearly as long as Tomb did. I'm gonna say 7 bosses. That feels about right. We get 7 bosses down this week. 4 on Wednesday, 3 on Thursday. Or I'm sorry, 4 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday. That's what I meant.
I think, and this
And we're
is
still
this
on
is
normal,
kind of
is my thought.
yeah. I believe I agree with. I already going to say I don't think we're going to move into heroic for at least 2 or 3 weeks, just because even with normal, I think a lot of people want their tier bonuses going forward just to kind of get the practice
Well,
once they get the better gear.
I know that if we finish normal at like what 9 o'clock 9 o'clock my time anyway, so an hour into raid on Wednesday night on Wednesday night we're gonna go start heroic because fucking by that like if you're finishing normal you can do the first few bosses on heroic is my thought.
Yeah, no,
That's usually
so
been
as
true.
far as number of bosses we're going to get down, I'm going to guess 9. I'm going to guess the
Whoa.
last 3 are going to be hard. The main concern for me is I don't know if it's all dependent on if everyone shows up on time.
Yeah, that's true. I think
And
we'll get the same
and
raid
if
team we
everyone
always
has
get.
actually done their due diligence of at the very least looking at the dungeon journal.
Nobody's
Speaking of,
done
I need
that.
to up. Well, I have, and you have,
Yeah,
since
no,
we
we
kind of
have.
went. We
I'm sure
didn't
Magro
overview it.
has. But
Yeah, I
neither
think,
of our
I think a lot of
tanks
our
have.
Well, yeah, but they, to be honest, there's.
We'll have Tar. We'll be fine. Actually,
Yeah.
this will actually be interesting because Tar before it was Tar did the raids with his guild on Hyjal or whatever before he raided with us, but because the schedule's changed, we now raid before his guild, so he may not know the fights as well as we've seen him know it in the past. So that'll be fun. We'll find out. But yeah. So you're saying 9, I'm saying 7. I actually part of me has a feeling it's going to be less than 7. Because this is this is gonna sound really shitty, like I have no confidence in our tanks, but I think it's gonna be because of our tanks.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about one of our tanks.
Tagash. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean our tanks are good. They're good. It's just that
They
learning
haven't
fights
built up
takes a
the
while.
camaraderie yet, I think.
They don't
for,
have the chemistry yet. They just started tanking with each other, so it'll be an interesting thing. I like that.
But,
Hey, I've got a podcast. I'm
at
gonna
the same
shit talk
time,
our
like-
tanks.
I don't know. At the same time, if let's say someone ends up raging at someone else, and we're not going to name names.
Right.
But if anyone gets frustrated,
Kill it.
you have you and me to kind of jump in and fill in the tank role again.
Yeah,
We saw how well it worked
Yeah.
that week that both Tagosh and
Kushner.
our other tank were out. So
Yeah, we're both capable
it'll
tanks.
it's one of those things where we know we still have the ability to do it, although we do lose a decent amount of damage with both of us tanking instead of
You know,
doing
now that I've
damage, 'cause
said
you-
all this and done all this shit talking, I think I'm wrong. I think we're actually going to get 7. I don't know. We'll find out.
it's definitely a possibility. I don't know. I feel like we're all very well geared going into this.
Yeah,
and my
that's
last
a big thing to me.
experience. So my last experience with going from very well geared into another tier with a active raid group was on my alliance character, and hell, man, that went so surprisingly well. Like we went into normal, and no, actually, first night we ended up going into heroic and cleared the first 4 bosses of heroic.
Nice.
Because we had done all of the Trial of Valor gear, and we're all geared with Mythic Plus, and that's kind of the point where most of our people are at right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think normal will definitely be possible. I just think that we're going to run into some bosses that are weird mechanically that are
Yeah.
going to be a stopping block.
Yeah, I think
And
so too.
with similar with Tomb, like we had 3 or so bosses that just were a roadblock for us.
I think
I think-
another thing is like we've been doing nothing but heroic tomb for a long time now. We've been doing it for about 3 months, I want to say, since August, and maybe even late July. No, yeah, it was actually beginning of July because it was the end of June. We got Kill Jaden down on normal, and then it was just after that we started doing. So yeah, it was middle of July. So fuck, it's been like 4 months that we've been doing nothing but heroic raiding, and like there's a difference between even whenever you go up to the next raid tier, there's a significant difference between heroic and normal because normal has less mandatory mechanics we will all still be of the mindset of like I need to react to these mechanics, you know, and so I think we should expect to have a good amount of success going into Taurus because it's like we've been playing at a higher level for the last 4 months, and this will actually be a step in a easier direction at the beginning. So I'm gonna stick to my 7 for now because I also know that we are we drink when we raid. So I'm gonna stick to my 7. So how do we determine a winner and a loser? I mean, obviously, if one of us is right, they win.
Yeah.
But-
I say it's going to be a if since we're pretty much split, since I said 9, you said 7. If it ends up being 8, then it rolls over to next week, double or nothing.
Okay, I like that.
If it ends up being lower, you win. If it ends up being higher, I win.
That gives me a significant advantage. Are you sure you
Okay,
want to
fine.
agree to that?
Well, let's just say one higher or one lower.
Okay, and then what happens if it's outside?
Outside of those,
Yeah, outside of those parameters. So like it's 2 or more lower or 2 or more higher.
we both donate 25,000 gold to the gold
To the guild bank.
bank.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah, all right, that works. Hopefully nobody in our guild is watching, and hopefully none of them see this before we raid at Taurus. So that way, I mean, the
Yeah,
guild bank.
well, we're not going to show up this week. I mean, so that's another major concern for me
Yeah, it's
because
attendance.
we're getting into that holiday season.
Yeah.
It feels like for some reason, and I don't know why, but it feels to me like Nighthold came out during a holiday season.
January.
Yeah, so Nighthold released at a similar time, and attendance was low because everyone was so busy with holidays.
It was
so
a different state of the guild.
this is true.
I mean, we were not as well off at that point. First off, y'all didn't have Braille on a solid basis, all right?
We didn't have really
We didn't have
Anyone
anybody on a solid basis. Yeah.
like I was not giving it my all at that point. That is for sure.
Yeah,
I
wasn't
was
either.
I
too
was doing
distracted
guild
with work.
Yeah.
But I take my Tuesdays and Wednesdays off now, and I have myself a grand old time, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, see, I've got it's, if I thought about it, I should have done that. But I've taken Fridays off the rest of the year, so that'll be fun.
Nice. That'll be nice. So what else have you been playing there, Mr. Fay? Outside of the scope of World of Warcraft, we're in the second half of our show now, so I figure we can get on to some other games discussion and talk about what's out there in the world.
So I have been playing with a decent amount of time played on 3 games mainly,
Tell me about all of them.
with the addition of WoW. The first one I ended up picking up Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild,
Ooh,
and
nice.
man, I am getting lost in that game. It is a lot of fun to me.
Wait, do you have a Nintendo Switch?
Yeah,
I'm so jealous. I want one so bad.
I was trying to buy one for months and months, and finally found one in stock.
I just don't have the money for it.
I ended up making it off of some stocks. So
Nice. Tell me how you found Breath of the Wild. What do you think of it?
so far, it is a interesting cross between a typical Zelda game and a RPG. It's got the RPG elements. You got to cook. You got to find armor. You got to find weapons. Your weapons break. This is all information. Like the game's been out long enough. A lot of people know this, but I tried to avoid most of the conversations about it just so I could go in with fresh eyes.
Word.
And there's definitely been some there's some cool stuff in there. One of the things that I find most interesting about it is the open-endedness of it so far.
Like the
There's
open
not
world?
just the open world, how vast it is, how well it runs on the Switch, and you've also got some. Hold on, I gotta open my another beer.
As you do. It is that big Sunday.
So there's some things that I don't like about it though. With the open-endedness, I've run into a few places where there was no clear direction without wandering around and finding a random NPC yelling at me to come help them. That was a little frustrating. It's kind of I now that I'm older, it's like I kind of like a little bit of structure in my games, or at least I can go into this town and talk to this person. They're going to tell me who to go to in order to, if you go talk to so and so in the town of Halfville or whatever, they'll give you a hint on where you're supposed to go next, and there's not a dedicated person for that. You can talk to NPCs, but that's kind of how it goes. The other thing I have found that I don't like is I've run into some fights where mechanically I can do everything right, but my weapons do not do enough damage to kill them, so I'm just in too high of a level zone. And that's weird to me when there's a bit of a skill-based element to combat in this with perfect dodging, perfect blocking, and stuff like that. And it's weird to me to be in a situation where, all my weapons and all my inventory full of weapons broke on this guy, and he's only at half health because my weapons don't do enough damage, even though I haven't taken a single part of damage myself. That frustrates me because it feels like a time gate. But at the overall, I definitely love the game. It's a very fun adventure game. I'm going to hold off on my other two and ask you for one of yours.
Well, first, I just want to say that Breath of the Wild's a game I'm waiting to get the Switch to play it because that's going to be my introduction to the Switch along with Mario Odyssey, and
which is also fantastic. I didn't play it at all this week, but
I've heard good things about both those games. So already a strong showing for the Switch. I'm jealous. Hopefully, I can.
Those are the only 2 games I was willing to once they were both cheap enough, or I found a Switch that was actually for sale. That's all I cared about was those 2 games.
Yeah, that's kind of all I care about right now. But I also know there's other games that I really want for it. So hopefully I'll be able to get one within the next year. But so this week on my channel I streamed. I did Fallout 4, but when I found out I couldn't kill the mayor of Diamond City, I got really upset. Like, I was upset on stream, but like it continued after the stream to the point where I realized I should not play that game on stream anymore because it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be fun for me, and it probably wouldn't be fun for the people who decided to watch. So I was just like, yeah, let's do something else on Thanksgiving. So I picked up a copy of Human Fall Flat. This is a game I played the entire game on stream on Thanksgiving night. And if you want to see what that game looks like or what it is, you can click on the mug below. It'll take you to my YouTube channel. Plug. Anyways, so this game is basically like ragdoll physics, but it has a story to it. You can control your character, and you can move around, and you can grab things, but like that's about it. There's nothing like you can't do sophisticated movement like you see in regular games these days. So what you're doing through this game is it's a puzzle platformer, 3D puzzle platformer, and basically you're going through various levels to get to the end where you will fall. It starts off with some witty narration. That's the tutorial. It's very fun. It had me laughing, so it was funny. And then like it gets progressively more challenging. The beginning was extremely easy, but it was also like to get you used to the controls because it's kind of weird how you have to grab things and climb ledges. Is you have to like hold your arms up, run towards the ledge, jump, and then you'll latch onto the ledge as long as you're using the grab buttons. And then you have to look down with your camera, and your guy will try to get up on the edge. And if your hands are at the edge that you're trying to get up on, you'll be able to climb up. If they're not, you won't. So it was really, really fun. It's silly. It's a silly, goofy game that is also multiplayer. It'd be a ton of fun to play with other people. But one thing I also noticed about this game that I kind of realized later on in it and thought it was really neat is you could make a case for this game being a speedrunning game. So like you're on these set levels, but your goal is always just get to the end. However you can get there. And that's kind of the fun of it, is like you can have some really creative ways to get through a level. But I noticed after playing through and then watching someone else play through that on one of the levels, I skipped almost the entire level. Like I got on a boat, went in the water, went around to one side of an island and crashed. And I was like, well, I guess this is where I'm getting off my boat, and like climbed up the back side of the island and then ended up like right before the end of it. And I was like, that was a short level. That was weird. And then it was like, after watching a playthrough, there's an entire level that I missed, like playing through that level so quickly. And part of me is glad I did, because towards the end of it I started getting really frustrated with the puzzles and how difficult they were. It's just like just let me figure this out. Like it was just so aggravating, but it was still fun. I like the challenge of puzzle platformers, and I thought I definitely, if you're down with like goofy 3D puzzlers, I would say check out Human Fall Flat. Especially, it's on sale on Steam right now for like $7. So I would definitely recommend that for anybody who wants a cheap, 5 to 8 hour time killer. Really fun game. But what was one of the other three you had?
So the other one, I played this a lot, but Overwatch. I did play a decent amount of Overwatch this weekend. I played a bit of ranked. Which was a bad decision around Thanksgiving when everyone off, because I ended up staying exactly where I was SR-wise. I ended up not being able to play the roles I'm really good at, and which I hate. I was like, I really just want to play DPS. Like, because I had so many games as Ana, Moria, Zenyatta, even Zarya, where I was getting gold damage. It's like I don't like when people call it golds in chat, but if you are a tank or healer and you're getting gold damage, someone's doing something wrong. But it was a bit of fun and a lot of deathmatch just to practice on my since I don't end up ever getting to play my DPS characters in comp because everyone else insta-locks them, and I am not that much of a dick to deprive the team of something needed. But it was a bit of fun. definitely would like to see. I didn't get to play Moria at all in the new because it just released a competitive, and I kind of stopped playing. I kind of got fairly busy on the weekend side of things and didn't have as much time to play. In long bursts, I can play like short little bursts of stuff, which will eventually go into the third game I played. But with Overwatch, you have to dedicate usually at least 30 minutes to a game, especially if it's competitive. So, and whereas the other game I was playing is like I can do 10 minutes here or there, maybe if I have longer times, I'll do it. But there was no guarantee that I could sit down for a long period of time for something like a competitive game. So,
I've never really been big on Overwatch. Like when it was just coming out of beta and getting launched, like it was fun and I really enjoyed it for a while. And I'd stay up really late playing it. And it was Overwatch was easily like the first person shooter I could actually play without getting motion sickness. And so I really like soaked it up. And then after that, it was just like I just lost all passion for it. My friends stopped playing, and I was like, okay.
See, I have to have a shooter to play. I enjoy them too much.
I understand that. I like sniping, and I'm thinking like I might pick up like Sniper Elite or something like that because I think sniping is really entertaining and like getting cool shots off where you get an awesome headshot or something. And I think from what I've seen, that's like what Sniper Elite is. So I might check that game out.
Yeah.
But
there's some fun there. Did you play any other games last week?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of Rocket League recently. Has been one of my big games. I haven't streamed it at all, but I've been doing Rocket League and playing through that, and it's been fun. I got up to gold, and I was like, "Oh yes, I'm gold!" Like I'm such a big kid, and like immediately got pushed back down into silver, and I'm like, "I suck at this game," and it got so sad.
I have played a total of one game with that on my buddy's Xbox. I am a garbage can at that.
Is that right?
There's something about it that bugs me, and I don't know if it's just the fact that like the physics doesn't seem to act like actual physics to me in some cases.
Yeah, it seems very lightweight to me.
Or like you hit something and it's like it shouldn't have gone that like it based on like it seems to go off in random directions sometimes because the geometry of the car is not actually reflected in the actual geometry of the car.
Right. Yeah.
Like its hitbox is not the actual like it just I don't know. But at the same time, there's some people who are just amazing at that game.
Yeah, there are.
And you feel like trash when you get stomped on.
Oh my god, you do.
Like, oh wow.
When you see somebody flying up in the air and they just knock the ball into your net, you're just like, I'm so garbage. Like I can't do that. I'm so bad at it. I like driving on the walls in that game. I've gotten pretty good at being able to drive up the walls and everything and knock the ball into play and set up a good play that way and sometimes score, which is like I love that you can like save replays and whatnot. And like one day I'm just gonna like release a video of like some of the best games I've played because I don't just save replays of like look at me score 7 times like wow I'm really good at this game. Like I save games that are like it was 3-3 or no it was like 4-3 with 1 minute left and then we tied it up with 1 second left and like went into overtime and they ended up winning, but it was still like a great game. Like I record just things that I'm like this is awesome. Like this was such a good game and like because I have fun even when I'm losing like a nerd. But yeah, it's a good game. I really enjoy Rocket League, even with the faulty physics and faulty trajectories and everything. I've always just it's so goofy to me. Like I remember just laughing my ass off when I first started playing the game because of how ridiculous the idea was that you're playing soccer with cars, but like it was still a lot of fun. Another game I've been playing was WWE 2K16 or whatever. I've been on a wrestling kick recently. Like I've been watching a ton of videos about wrestling from like WWE to NWA, I think it was, and then also WCW and New World Japan and all this stuff, all these different wrestlings. And I watched all of Lucha Underground season 1 and 2 on Netflix. Like I've been going crazy on wrestling. So I was playing WWE 2K17, playing through career on that. It's the most lackluster fucking version of wrestling I could ever expect. I can't believe how garbage their career mode is. It is so terrible. It's so bad. Here's how bad it is, Faye. It's so bad that my first video that I have slated to release when I can afford real editing software is a how to make wrestling games better video. Like, because I want a good wrestling game that plays into, like, dealing with kayfabe and dealing with all this other stuff. Like, I want a good wrestling fans wrestling game. So I'm going to make a video about what would make a good one, in my opinion. So, yeah, those are some games I've been playing this week. I'm dying to hear your third one, though, as soon as you have time.
So you've been playing a lot of wrestling games, is what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Wait. So here's the question:
I think I hear a pun.
Does this remind you of the time in back in 1998 where Undertaker threw Mankind off Hell in a Cell and he plummeted 16 feet through an announcer's table?
No, it kind of really brought up that moment whenever Undertaker choke slammed Mankind through the Hell in the Cell and he fell 75 feet to the ring and landed on a pile of thumbtacks.
Ooh.
My God, he's dead. Dude, that was a crazy match. But tell me about your third game, you fucking meme.
So
lord.
My third game was an MMO.
It's an MMO, you say?
In quotes.
MMO? Tell me about this MMO.
It was Star Wars and the Old Republic. It is. I had a craving for a Star Wars game.
Me too.
Still have a love for that game.
I never got far in it.
A lot of people never got fond of it. I think they just hit too small of a niche, like, because already like MMOs are somewhat of a market. And then you add it to that the fact that it's a Star Wars MMO, which most MMO players want a fantasy MMO, not a sci-fi MMO. So you've alienated half your possible fan base.
Yeah.
But man, that game, I just love the story mode. I have like usual, I have every single class on both factions to max level in that game, but I couldn't remember story-wise what I was doing with each of them prior. Like I couldn't remember how I was playing them because I like to make with that game. It was way easier for me to come up with backstories because you have conversation choices and such. So I was like, well, shit, I can't remember what my backstory was for this character. Like, so I ended up creating someone brand new and started over. I was like, okay, I'm going to play a Sith Inquisitor, and I'm going to play the female one because the voice actor sounds great with these lines that make her sound insane. So I'm going to play an insane person.
There you go.
So I've been trying to choose all the try and guess the answers and based on the conversation choices to make her seem just completely batshit insane, and it's just been a lot of fun. I really should have been streaming it because. But yeah, no, I and just the ability to be able to stop at any point because I wasn't doing any of the end game content yet. It's like, oh, I can just leave when I'm done, or oh crap, I got to go take care of this
log
thing.
Out whenever you want.
It's just, yep.
Yeah, I enjoyed that game. I really I'd never got far in it, but I think the highest level I got was like 32 or something like that. But I remember one of the things I really loved about that game was the way it did its storytelling. And also the fact that there's voiceovers everywhere, the fact that you can make decisions and everything that matter, or quote unquote matter at least. Like I really there was a lot about that game that I enjoyed and would love to see implemented into WoW, but probably never will be because it's not really the style WoW is,
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting stuff. I do wish there was some more permanence to it, but it's just real. Like in an MMO, you can't do too much permanence.
Yeah.
The only MMO I know that has done these things that happen are permanent was Guild Wars 2. When they were doing their seasons, where it's like, no, the living world content. If you missed it when it was going on, it's done. Like you cannot go back and play it. Sorry.
Yeah, I really.
So, yeah. Did you play anything else though?
I'm trying to remember if I did. Let's see. I did the Fallout stuff where I got mad at the mayor. I've been playing. I mean, I do mostly play WoW. That is essentially my bread and butter is to play WoW. It always will be, and I know that. But yeah, I think that's probably it.
Yes.
I'm hoping.
I got trapped. I really wanted to play there's a lot of stuff I wanted to do in WoW this week, but it's one of those things where every time I got on, I was getting on at some weird hours this week, and you weren't online. Kayla wasn't online. Like a lot of the people like I interact with and do stuff with were just not available.
Yeah.
And man, trying to pug some of the stuff that I wanted to do was just it was painful. Like I was like, I want to do some Mythic Plus, but it's like I can't seem to find a group because unless I want to tank, and I don't really want to tank unless I know the healer.
Yeah.
And no healers are online. Great.
I haven't done my Mythic Plus yet this week. I've been slacking. Like, and my thing is like I do. Oh, here's something that's fun because I like this past week I've done almost nothing. Me and Kayla have been doing a ton of RPing. And then on top of that, I started doing some RP by myself, just like going into Orgrimmar and seeing what's going on and talking to random people. And it's something fun to do. But so I've been doing that. And last night, I started a new RP character, which is something I rarely do because most of my characters are already defined, but my hunter wasn't. And so basically, I went in and I went into Orgrimmar and I saw someone and I was like, oh, I don't know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. But I sent them a letter in the mail, right? And it was just a random letter where I was like in character talking to them and like left them a message essentially. And then like we started pen paling. And I found out that she was a blood elf that like is a ranger or whatever, and they're protecting this, like they're on duty right now is like between Razor Hill and Orgrimmar is where they patrol, but they get called away on missions and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, cool. And then like I just randomly asked but like we went from talking about philosophy into like philosophy of fighting into like what you do to kind of like relax from the battles and everything. So basically, what do you do for fun? And their answer was the Brawlgar Arena, which is what I haven't done the.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, no, I mean I've done it, but I haven't completed it. I hadn't completed it yet, and I was like, "Oh my god, I completely forgot about that place," you know. And so, like that reminded me about it, and so I built my character into a gladiator, a slave, you know, that has to fight in the pits and whatnot, essentially. And then I went into the arena and I beat it. Like I went through all 8 levels last night and beat it, and it was really, really fun. And the stream is breaking. Hang on. It was really, really fun. I know audio's working. There we go. It was really, really fun to do that. So I went. There it is. Sorry about that, everybody. I went, beat it, and then got all the different stuff unlocked with like the basilisk mount, the pet, all that stuff, and then I hung out up in the Zeppelin that hangs out above the arena for a while. And it was really cool to me because the fun part to me about doing RP is when you can like get in touch with your character, do things as your character that kind of like add to your background and like kind of get you to invest more in your character because there is a backstory. And so I really enjoyed just like going into Brawlgar because that's what my character is. He is a gladiator. He is a slave that has to fight in the pits and then like having success, getting rewarded in game through doing it. But like also it's like, yeah, like now I have combat experiences that I can talk about when I talk about, you know, what I've had to do in the pits and all of that stuff. And I have something that I can point to and say, this says I'm a good gladiator to other people and whatnot. And so I thought, you know, I don't know. I thought that was really cool to do.
Yeah, that sounds. It's almost to some point. It's almost a different game within WoW. Just the RP elements that you participate in.
Yeah.
The metagame.
Yeah, the metagame, exactly. That was really cool. I liked it.
Yeah, that sounds fun. My as you know, the stream does not. My only or first experience with RP, not my only experience. I did a little bit with the guild. Was not in this game. It was actually in Guild Wars 2 many moons ago. I was running events, just farming stuff in that game, and I came across a RP patrol. Effectively, they were just doing the same events I was doing, but they were doing them in a patrol fashion and stopping for breaks at each fort on the way and making conversation. And man, did like the guy who was leading that knew how to pull everyone in and just brought the atmosphere and made it so much fun.
That's cool.
It was one of the few things that made me roll on an RP server, because even though I didn't interact too much in WoW, I haven't done much RP. Being an RP server and around the RP is fun to me, and it's interesting.
It is.
I don't know.
It's
just
you
get to see some strange people.
Yeah. I got hit on by a gay panda last night. You meet some people, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's funny to me, like, to just randomly, like, panda walks up to you and starts hitting on you, and it's just like, okay, this is an RP server. This is what happens here. Like, I accepted this when I made a character over here. Like, this is what'll happen. But yeah, I definitely agree, because I like the immersion, like, that it gives you. Like, the city is more alive when you have people pretending to be in the city, or people actually just being in the city and living in the city. It feels more alive. It feels more real. I like it.
Now, that's a bad joke. I'm not going to say it. Sorry, bro.
Okay.
It was a pun, and I decided against it.
Good man. This is a quality. This is a quality podcast, apparently. So we'll have
no
none of
puns.
that.
You only get that during raid nights.
God, oh boy.
Yeah, well, one of these days we should stream a raid night.
I stream all of them.
No, I'm talking about like with our conversation that is completely random over. Maybe next time you do, you farm your Shoulders of Manoroth or whatever.
Oh, my Tusks of Manoroth. Just do run Siege of Orgrimmar and talk over it.
Yeah, bring in some of our other fun boys.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get our boy Strimple back on here. We could get Strimple.
Yeah,
back. Everybody
that
loves
would be
Strimple.
fun.
Everybody loves Strimple. He was so popular last week. He was the talk of the town. It looked beautiful in that dress.
Okay.
Well, I think that's a good spot to start calling it a night. It's gonna be a shorter episode tonight because there's as much to talk about, and we've given you, I think, all I've got. Faye, what do you got coming? What do you got coming up? You got anything coming up?
You talking about holiday season, or are you talking about game?
Yeah, just whatever, man. Whatever's coming up.
There's definitely things coming up.
Okay.
I will. There's it's for me. This is normally a busy season for where I work, but this year it's not, because there was a bigger event earlier in the year, so they've kind of made the holiday season less an event and more just normal. But as a result, I'm still like, this is getting into my personal life a little bit, but I feel like I'm willing to share. My coworker was left the job, got a new job, making better money. But as a result, I'm kind of doing two people's job now, and it's just killing me.
Oh,
so
geez.
I'm happy that we're not doing the big events this year, because I'm already drowning in work and having more of that on top of it.
Yeah.
I think the big thing coming up this week is going to be deciding, as much as I love my monk, if I'm going to enjoy the new play style.
Yeah.
And if not, and this is something that, like, there's no requirement from the guild, and I mean, even if there was, I just tell someone else it's their job, not mine, because I have some leadership.
Yeah.
But there's definitely the possibility that we have too much melee again, or or too much range, or whatever, and then it's like, oh well, time to go ranged, or time to go a different spec, or whatever. So we'll see. It's a mystery to me, and I've got some gold riding on it. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm excited for Antorus. As far as anything that I've got going on, So, I'm trying to procure a copy of The Fractured Butthole, the new South Park game, and that game is definitely what's that?
What are you trying to get it on?
Steam. That's that game is.
Send me your Steam ID.
Okay, so we'll take care of this after. But if I can get a hold of it, and it sounds like that there's a good chance I might be able to. I think it's on sale right now. But so if I can get a hold of that, I'm going to stream that this week at one point. It will probably Tuesdays and Wednesdays I will be streaming the raids that we do. So if you're not raiding this week, but you still want to see what Antorus looks like and see it live in a raid setting, and just kind of get to know my guild as they are in the raids. We're all a bunch of fun people, and sometimes you get to see some drama. Sometimes you get to see something that wouldn't be shown otherwise. I let that shit happen live, and I don't tell anybody in the guild that they need to watch their mouth more than I ask them to watch their mouth in guild. So basically just keep the racial slurs out of it is all I do. But yeah, so if you want to check that out, that's going to be on Tuesday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. West Coast time, right? If I remember right, 6 p.m. West Coast time, 9 p.m. server. So I guess same time as the podcast, isn't it? Wow. I guess I didn't realize that I did that with the podcast when we set up the time for it. Oh well, but yeah. So if you want to check out that, other than that, if I do Fractured Butthole, I will be streaming it on Twitch and then uploading it to YouTube. If you want to check me out on YouTube, get caught up on all of the No Loot Sundays you may or may not have missed, which there are 4 of them outside of this episode. You can click on the mug down below, and it will take you over to my YouTube channel where all of the No Loot podcast episodes are up, as well as a bunch of other stuff. A lot of outdated stuff, because Legion Beta is still up there. But, so you can go check out that. And then what was the last thing I had? Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that shit. I never say that. I have one question for anybody who watches this podcast and has made it this far and is still watching. I would like you to in some way tell me. You can comment on this video, you can comment on another video, you can reach out to me at Twitter at WowAltivia, or you can say it in chat right now. Let me know how long you would like these No Loot Sundays episodes to be. We have done 2 episodes that are about an hour and a half. We have done 3 episodes that are about 2 hours and then a little change every now and then. So we generally, between me and Faye, we've always said, let's just do, an hour and a half to 2.5 hours in there. But if people are like, man, I wish we were having more, then we want to give you more. So be sure to tell us if you would prefer it to be closer to the 2-hour mark, or if you think that what we're doing tonight is just fine, whatever. But I believe that's going to be the episode. I'm going to have our boy intro song play us out, and we will call it intro song play us out. Yeah, okay. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good week. Good luck in Antorus.
Alright, it seems the boss is dead. We're just gonna go ahead and distribute the loot here. I'm hoping for some cheese. There's no loot. I repeat, there is no. So you wanted some loot? Yeah. Want some loot? Yeah. Maybe you're gonna have to wait till next week. No loot. No loot. No loot, no loot, no loot, no loot, no loot.